Well, hi everybody, and happy Monday, the June 30th, or pre-July. 4th of July is coming up, and we got our American flag border to make sure everybody knows that it's a fourth. I'm a very patriotic person. My family is very patriotic. Unknown facts about me. I grew up in a fireworks family. That means that sometime around the age of God, I want to say 8. I want to say I was 8 years old. My dad loved fireworks, and he got into the fireworks industry because he was a salesman. He worked for a business, and he was a salesman, and that was his natural skill, and he passed that on to us. He became the head salesman after some years of a fireworks company that is ridiculously huge now. I mean, we're talking 40 years later. He's retiring this year, and I am as well. But basically, we were display operators, and that's what I did. When I was 8 to 10 years old, we'd go do fireworks shows. Real simple stuff, nothing too huge. And we'd do the physical labor, and then at the end of the year, we'd do a few shows. My dad would give me some money, and it was great. And then it got to the point where we were putting on, you know, $25,000, $30,000 displays, which in our area is pretty good. And if you're in the Iowa area and you went to the 4th of July show, or the Independence Day show, because sometimes it was on the 5th in Iowa City, that was our show. We as a family put that show on every single year, and I think this is I think we're going on 41 years. I'm not doing it this year. I'm officially retired. Last year was my last year, but that was 40 years in the fireworks business. So we grew up very patriotic. We love our country. And I won't go into it too much, but yeah, very patriotic family. So the flag is important as my backdrop here because I'm going to talk about something very awesome, and that is what's coming out on Wednesday, and that is the new Captain America comic from our friend Chip Zdarsky. Now, I know some people like Zdarsky's writing, some people don't like Zdarsky's writing, and I promised myself I wouldn't go into anybody's personal opinions. Like if an actor or a writer or an artist says something stupid, I'm going to ignore it because I just want to be entertained, and paying attention to all that crap drives me crazy. I don't want to do it. So this is the new Captain America comic, and I read this just a few minutes ago because I was like, oh, they're bringing out the 4th of July, right before the 4th of July. This will come out on Wednesday, so this will be the 2nd, and going into the weekend. And I got to say, this is really really good. I mean, they have kind of screwed up Steve Rogers ever since they tried to pass the mantle on to Sam Wilson. And I love Sam Wilson. I like his character. I like the movie character. I like the Falcon. I never, ever liked him becoming Captain America because it's not who he is. No matter what uniform he puts on, he's Sam Wilson. So because of that was going on, they kind of ignored Steve Rogers. We got to ignore Steve Rogers so people will be forced to accept Sam Wilson. Never going to happen. I mean, there's young people out there who like Sam Wilson. I have a nephew-in-law who loves Sam Wilson, and he looks pretty phenomenal in his Captain America outfit. I got to tell you, props to my nephew. I'm not going to dox him or name him right now. If he wants, I'll tell his name later. But this book is really fucking cool. So imagine the old story of Captain America when the Avengers thawed him out. It was Avengers number 4. They thawed him out, and yada yada yada. A few months, he joins the Avengers, and the adventure begins. In this book, it's a little bit different, and I freaking love it. So the book starts off. You're introduced to a character who is named later, and I'm not gonna spoil this any more than I have to get you to buy it because I think everybody should pick up this book, and I'm probably gonna run out of copies. But it starts off with a character, and he's on the street in New York, and he's staring up, and he sees that moment that people my age remember, which was September 11th, 2001, when our World Trade Center towers were destroyed and thousands of people lost their lives. I've had to explain to my children who were born a couple of years after that it's not funny, and I don't like the jokes. And I'm a funny guy, and I appreciate jokes. And I understand now as a dad why we don't joke about that. Like guys from Vietnam don't joke about Vietnam or whatever the situation may be. People who were in Auschwitz, you don't joke about Auschwitz. It's just how it is. So it starts off with this redheaded kid, and he's staring up at the towers. He's watching one of them fall. So that's how this book opens. And I'm like, okay, so this book is taking place in 2001, somewhere in there. Cut to a little bit later, and Steve Rogers is, in his civvies, having a little lunch in a diner, and I'm trying to figure out what this book, introduced to a new character, and then Steve Rogers. I'm like, okay, where's this going? And it turns out that this is set in 2001, and Steve Rogers, they make it very clear that he was just thawed out. So now he was thawed out in 2001, somewhere in there. He was just thawed out. They make reference to he just came out of the ice 2 weeks ago. So this is huge for him. This is impactful, and the Avengers make him an offer, and he's like, all my friends are gone, my parents are gone, I don't have anything left except for what I know, and that's the military. So he's motivated to stay in the military, and then enter Thaddeus Ross in the Marvel world. General Ross. I don't know if he's a general at this time, but he introduces himself to Captain America, and he asks him questions why he wants to be there, and he basically says, well, it's, this is what I do. So Ross recruits him into whatever is happening next. Again, I don't want to spoil the book. I want you guys to read it because it's going to be phenomenal. I think it's a really good book, and I love the way it starts. So basically, the whole motivation is, as I spoil the book for you, is they're going to charge him with going after Dr. Doom, because in this book, the fight in the first Fantastic Four book, you've seen an iconic cover, Fantastic Four #1, where they're fighting that green monster, and he's got a hold of the thing, and they're trying to fight him. That battle happens, like the end of that battle happens in this book. Captain America shows up to lend them a hand. He captures the Mole Man, which stops the whole fight, as the Mole Man was, I guess he was controlling the guy. I never read the original story, but so that fight ends, and he has a conversation with Reed Richards and basically asks him intel on, who is Dr. Doom? Why does he do what he do? That kind of stuff. So he's getting ready for the thing. And while that story is going on, you've got this new character who all he wants to do is join the military. Now, there were thousands upon thousands upon thousands of men and women in 2001 who watched us get attacked and watched thousands of people die, people jumping from a burning building to try to save their life because they had no other. He sees all of this, and like all those other men and women, there was a mass influx of recruitment for the military, for those of you who weren't paying attention. So he wants to join, but just like Steve Rogers early in his life, he's got asthma, he's small, he's weak. The only thing he has going for him is his determination and his bravery. His body is just like Steve Rogers, he's not there. So this character, while the Steve Rogers story is going on, it goes back and forth, and he talks, he's trying to go through basic training. His own drill sergeant beats the living shit out of him. He ends in the hospital because he's trying to get him to go away, because all the soldiers are convinced that if they go into battle with this kid, if they deploy with him, he's going to get them killed, which is always a concern when it comes to, the big men defending, smaller people. He's not right for this situation, according to them. So later on, this character gets recruited just like Steve Rogers did. And then he comes in a little bit later, and I won't spoil the last image of the book, but it is an image that anybody who was around alive watching the news in 2000 when we went to war with Saddam Hussein, and we invaded them, and all those images we saw on TV, there's one classic image that they put in this book that this redheaded kid is he's witnessing it live on the ground. So he did make it, and I won't tell you how, but you could probably guess. And it's great. It's a great book. Chip Zdarsky is a good writer, and again, I have Marvel under a microscope now, because, as I've said before, it's my job to get people excited about a product, and I can't get people excited about a product that I don't believe in, because I feel like a fraud. And I was raised on truth. If anybody you ever watch Excalibur, what is the greatest attribute of a knight? And Merlin says it's truth. When a man lies, he kills some part of the world. It's truth. I cannot sell lying to my customers. So I want to show you some more pictures. We got a couple more covers that I have extras of this week, so you can kind of pick and choose when you come into the store Wednesday. Don't come in Tuesday. I'm busy. Stop bugging me. For my friends who are customers who I've joked with that about, it's Monday and Tuesday I'm working. Leave me the alone. You call me, ask me questions the rest of the week, but I got to sort your books before you get in that day. So let me share another screen here. I'm screwing this up. Come on. You can do it faster than this. Let's try. Nope. Yes. So here's another artist that I really enjoy. This is Pablo Villalobos, and his ladies are very pretty. His guys aren't bad either, but he draws really well. I like it's kind of a soft look sometimes, and it's just a really pretty cover, and I like that one a lot. Now let's see if we can find you another one to show. We'll just keep whipping that back and forth. Stop screen. No, click this. I'm really good at this. No, if it doesn't show, I'm really good at this. So share screen as I'm babbling trying to pull these things up. Here's another one for you video game guys. We have the Rivals cover. So this is, excuse me, this is based on his Rivals design. And I've got a few other ones. I got some 1 in 10s that'll be available. And a couple of the covers that'll be available in the store. They'll be on the wall. You guys know what you know where they're at. They're on the wall, baby. That's where I put them. So yeah, highly recommend Captain America. So Captain America is awesome. It's just, it feels right after, how many years of writers. God, I think they even gave Captain America to Ta-Nehisi Coates, who destroyed Black Panther. You want to talk about ruining the sales in my store? Nobody buys Black Panther in my store because he screwed it all up. He was an activist. He was a commentary activist who never wrote a comic book in his life. Marvel gives him Black Panther, he ruins it. They give him Captain America, he shit that to hell, which honestly makes sense to me, because if you wanted to ruin a character so you could bring someone else up like Sam Wilson as Captain America, give it to someone who doesn't like Captain America, and that's exactly what I felt happened. I may be wrong, but that's what I felt happened. So Captain America is a yes this week. New character, great story. But I want to talk to you quickly about something else that is interesting this week. And we're going to remove that. We're going to share that. We're going to grab this button here. And I suck at this. Oh, where is it? I think that's it. Boom. Okay. So, X-Men. Now, X-Men has dropped in our store to some of the lowest sales numbers since I've been with the company, since I've been volunteering at the store. And I think I'm going on 8 years now since my predecessor passed away. And X-Men had a really good resurgence when Hickman did the whole Krakoa thing, and they did the House of X, the Powers of X, and they had this really great thing going. And then Marvel cocked it all up by making 1,000 different books and screwing with the storyline and creating a ton of characters nobody asked. It was just weird. And then it kind of just fell apart at the end because the X-Men are never allowed to have anything good in their lives. Everything turns to shit eventually. Or the writers turn into shit. I could go on for days about how upset I am over what they have done to traditional characters in the X-Men. And when I talk about a microscope with Marvel, I watch very closely. I mean, I won't promote the book, and I didn't keep it in the store because I know it wouldn't sell. I got one person that bought it, so he ordered it. He got it because I'm not a jerk. It was the Voices cover where it celebrates people from all different walks of life. But the image that I can't stand, and I'm not going to pull it up, but they got Iceman years ago when Brian Michael Bendis was, Bobby turned out to be gay, which the way Brian Michael Bendis wrote it made sense. He's a good writer. He wrote it in a way that was explainable, that made sense. And I was like, okay, if this is where they're going to go with Bobby, I'll read it. And it wasn't old Bobby. It was young Iceman that they brought from the past and brought him to the current day. So it was like the 14, 15-year-old Iceman from the original beginning of the X-Men, where Jean Grey, young Jean Grey for the same time period, her powers activate so she can start reading minds, and she realizes he's gay. So that's a whole thing. But they got him on the cover of this book looking like he's writing Hercules. Hercules is a character in Marvel Universe, if you didn't know. He's a big, brawn character. He is very pink and on the cover with his nips out, and then Bobby is drawn like, and there's no mistaking it. He's drawn like a twink. And if you don't know what that is, don't Google it. It won't do you any good. Just understand the word pretty much fits the motif. He's drawn like a young whatever, riding on Hercules' back. And I'm like, this guy had a drag out fist fight with a ninja without his powers over a girl he loved. And I'll leave it at that. So this book here is one of those books I'm looking at with a fine-tooth comb, and I'm very happy to say that there were moments in this book that I loved. And there's no bullshit in this book. Basically, what it is if you kept up on what's been going on with the X-Men universe, they had an island called Krakoa, and that island eventually everything fell apart. The island kind of went away, and the X-Men no longer had their paradise utopia island called Krakoa. So this is the Vigil. This is the Hellfire Vigil. They used to have a Hellfire Gala on the island. Everybody showed up party. This is the Vigil for what used to be. So it's it's basically just a vigil. They just celebrate that they still have each other, and then all the mutants they were all teleported pins that allowed them to go through gates to get to the celebration. So it's only mutants, which is fine. But there's a moment in this book with characters that I did not read. I was out of comics for 10 years. I just did. When I closed my store in 2003, and nobody who called themselves my friends called me up to ask me how I was doing, I walked away from everything, comics included. Didn't read them anymore. And then in 2012, when the Avengers X-Men War came back, I got back into comics. So I've been out of comics for a while, and I didn't know anything about these kids that were like the Hellions. So I had to catch up on Wikipedia. You know, I can't read everything, guys. I got to go to my Cliff's Notes. So Edie is the one with the two colored eyes and the ice and fire powers. She runs into a guy who I believe he's one of the four new kids that are in the Uncanny X-Men. They broke all the X-Men after Krakoa fell. They broke them into 3 books initially, which was the X-Men, which is Cyclops and his team of mutants that he took with him. And then there's the Uncanny X-Men, which is my favorite. That's Wolverine, Gambit, Rogue, Jubilee, you know, the traditional 97 or 90s X-Men that everybody loves, minus Cyclops. And then they did the Exceptional X-Men, and they're exceptional. And I don't read that title because of what they did to Kitty Pryde. Kitty Pryde is in love with Colossus forever, and you can't change my mind. She doesn't date other people, only Colossus. I have issues. Anyway, so this book, you get this moment with Edie and one of the new X-Men from Uncanny X-Men, and they're both from different parts of the continent of Africa. They are both raised Catholic. They talk about this with each other, like they're sharing information about themselves, like they're on a date. They're kind of connecting and having this moment, and then as they're sharing these life experiences and talking about their mothers or whatever, and then the older X-Men look on and they look and they recognize the beautiful moment they're seeing, and then Edie and the guy she's with, they give a kiss, and it's beautiful. I'm a romantic. I'm a hopeless romantic. I love romance. I really do. I don't have a problem saying that. I love the idea of the romantic relationship, especially in the X-Men world, because there were so many good ones. There were so many relationships that were great in the X-Men. I mean, because it was kind of a soap opera, and I enjoyed it. So they have a kiss, they have a moment. It's great, it's beautiful, and there's nothing distracting you from the fact that these two people who can relate based on where they're from and their culture get together, and it's natural. And then a bunch of other, there's a moment where one of the characters, two of the characters are both gamers, and they find out that they're really good friends when they game, and they meet each other up at this event. So it's a fun book where it's kind of setting up what's coming out in the future. So they have this vigil. Most of the X-Men or all the X-Men show up. But the biggest news about this book is Storm. Now, I have not been following Storm because she was in a different book and something was going on with her, and I couldn't keep up with everything. But apparently, she's been talking to Eternity. Now, if you know the Marvel world, Eternity is like the end. He's the end-all, be-all being. If you saw that really terrible Thor movie where they find Eternity at the end, I think it was called Crap and Thunder or Love and Poop. Something like that. I hated that movie. They made Thor into a joke, and I got real tired of it. But Eternity is talking to Storm, and they're having a conversation, and she feels hopeless about something, and then he gives her a glimpse into the future to give her hope, I guess. And it's a little girl, and because Storm had taken a pregnancy test, and it came out negative, and she just was devastated. And then he gives her a glimpse in the future, and this is being spoiled everywhere. So like I said, spoilers, it's in the title. So he gives her a glimpse of the future, and this little girl's like, oh yeah, here, I got to show you this. And she holds up a clock in the calendar, and it's June 16th at 6:16 in the evening. That's 6:16 of 6:16 on the X-Men's universe, which is also 616, 6:16. So they got a whole thing going on. I really hope that doesn't turn out to be like devil shit, because Marvel, the people that work there, you just never know. So 616 is very important in the Marvel universe. God, just thank God there's a 1 in the middle of those numbers. Anyway, this girl is apparently, according to the book, Storm's future daughter. And honestly, I've talked about this before. I talked about it in one of my last videos where the natural progression of family in the Marvel universe would bring more readers in, because you'd be creating new characters out of the natural way the world works. Two people get together, they have children, situations happen, the kids grow up, they develop powers, and then you don't let them go out and fight crime when they're 15, because what kind of a parent are you? And this was really good. This was a good book. I'm kind of excited about this week because I know we hate comics. I know Marvel comics suck, and a lot of them do. But then again, Marvel, I think, is at the very least, there's people in Marvel who are trying to put something out there for everybody. And all of Marvel comics are not for everybody. There's stuff out there that you're like, why am I? And I've had comics like, why am I reading this? I just gave up reading. I think I finally got tired of Daredevil, so I stopped reading Daredevil. This is just me personally. If you guys like this stuff, God, more the merrier. Please read it. I want people to enjoy comics. I stopped reading that. I stopped reading Wolverine and a couple ones. I kind of go back and forth on what I read personally. But yeah, Captain America is a must-have this week. Comes out Wednesday. I think if you're an X-Men fan, you should pick up X-Men Vigil. If you're curious about what the X-Men are like, I wouldn't jump into that title. I think I would, if you wanted to get into X-Men, I'd go to X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, because they did a great job of keeping the most popular core 90s characters together and then introducing 4 new characters, which they just finished a 4-part storyline, which was really good. I thought it was kind of goth X-Men, but it was pretty badass. I liked it. And that's something I think people would enjoy. Also, I'm not going to pull a picture. I'll just flip it up on camera here. This is the week that Wolverine, Deadpool, the Wolverines and Deadpools come out. I know there's a lot of people that hate the whole idea that, they just keep changing characters by, making them female if they're male or vice versa. But I always give a pass to Laura Kinney because she has been around since the 90s. She showed up in a cartoon, and then they brought her into comics, and she has a long developed history. The fact that they call her the Wolverine is kind of stupid. I mean, why can't she have her own name? Because you got Wolverine hanging out with her anyway. So why don't they just name them all Wolverines, or just give her something else? I kind of miss Honey Badger, her little sister. They should bring her back. But I'm looking through my pile here for this week. We've got a beautiful variant cover coming for Amazing Spider-Man number 7. I think this is Berhermo. It's a great Black Cat cover. Other than that, it's basically kind of business as usual. Ultimate Wolverine is out. Ultimate Wolverine is very good. Ultimate Wolverine, Ultimate Spider-Man are the 2 titles that I kind of enjoy. The Ultimates is kind of getting poop for me, but Captain America. I can't say it enough, guys. Captain America this week. Get that comic, read it, enjoy it, and then find a place to watch fireworks. Again, the best show, I think, in the area is going to be the Iowa City Fireworks Show. It always is. We'll be there on the hill watching, eating hot dogs, drinking, not beer, and whatever we can get our hands on. But that's I think that's pretty much it, guys. I don't think I could ramble on about anything else, except for no, that's pretty much it. We're still waiting to see what happens with Diamond Comics, because we have merchandise on order for customers there, and they haven't been able to tell me anything definite because they're still reorganizing. They don't even answer the phones. They have an automated message that says you can contact us through email, but we ain't talking to you. So that's pretty much it. So to all my nerds, geeks, dweebs, and fanboys wandering the content wasteland, please keep coming back for more sanity in an insane world. I'm Justin with Comic Sense.